It's been a while since I've done a little sit down video where I'm just talking to you guys. I'm pretty sure it's been like a couple of months, so this is a little weird. But let's get started. Hey everybody, it's your boy Ranjak and I'm back at it here with a new video. First of all, let me get this out of the way. Before I even begin this video, I just want to give a huge shout out to all the new subscribers and the ones that have been subscribed for a while. The last video has been blowing up, at least in my case. For me, blowing up is like anything that's above like 200 views, 300 views. Right now it's at like 3.8k, which is a lot. I just want to thank you guys all for all the support from the last video and for honestly just all the support in general. The reason why I'm making this video is because people have been messaging me on Instagram wanting to know more about like what it takes to become an EMT and whether I like it or not. Also in the comment section below in that video, there's been a couple of questions that I want to answer in this video. I'm planning on making a similar video where I talk about like other healthcare jobs such as like CNA, phlebotomist, farm tech. That doesn't really count as clinical hours. Since I've been offered a job for 3 out of those 4 jobs that I just mentioned, I think I can provide a little insight on why I decided to choose the EMT route instead of like a CNA route or a phlebotomy route. So if you guys want to see that kind of video, just let me know in the comment section below. Again, in this video, we're just focusing strictly on EMT because that's what a lot of people are interested in. I'm just going to talk about like the basic requirements of attaining your EMT license, and I'm also just going to share like my personal like story and experience. That's like how I got it. Everyone's route is a little bit different, just like medical school too. Like not everyone that goes to medical school has attained the same, things or have done the exact same things as someone else. Everyone's journey is a little bit different. It's similar, but it's a little bit different. So for me, I took my EMT class during my first semester of freshman year. So it was 2020, I think. Yeah, 2020, 2021, 2020. So I think it was 2020, but first semester of my freshman year. I took it at a community college because an EMT course isn't offered at my normal college. I don't really think it's offered at many universities. That's why you have to like take it somewhere else. So I paid $800 just for the course at the community college and around $150 to $200 on like books, material, and the NREMT exam, which I'll talk all over later on in this video. If $1,000 seems a lot to you, I mean, to me, it's a lot of money. If it seems a lot to you and you're not sure whether you can pay that much or not, definitely look into programs where they literally pay for your training. For example, where I live, there's a cadet program through a private ambulance company where they basically pay for your training and you also get paid to attend class. Since the company is paying for your training and they're paying you to just attend class, you have to dedicate 6 months to a year. It could be a little more, a little less, depending on which company that you're working with and their policy is. But you just have to dedicate like 6 months to a year usually. And you just have to work for them after you get your license. If you choose to quit earlier than your time period, then you just have to pay the price that you would have paid if you attended like a community college to take this class. So for some people, it might be the right choice. For others, it might not, depending on what you want to do. But definitely look into it. It's called the cadet program from where I'm from, but it might be called something else. It doesn't hurt to reach out to like private ambulance companies. So if money's a little tight, because again, $1,000 is a lot to me, definitely ask them. The reason why I didn't do it is because I wasn't aware of this program before I started working as an EMT, and also I don't think my schedule would have like fit in with them because they have a pretty tight schedule. So there's a lot to consider, but if it works for you, definitely go ahead and do it. An EMT course is a semester long. There are summer programs offered where it's accelerated, so it's like you meet every single week and there's an exam like bi-weekly or even weekly depending on where you're attending college. So for me, I just took it for a whole semester. Like I said, first semester of my freshman year. We met 2 times a week for 4 hours, so 8 hours a week. But there were some weeks where we had to meet 3 times, so it was like 12 hours a week. Those weeks were a little stressful just because I was balancing schoolwork with this EMT course. Freshman year was a little rough, especially first semester, because I think I was at like 21 credits. I made a video about this, so if you haven't already, definitely go check it out. In order to get your license, there are a couple of different things that need to happen. First of all, you need to pass your class at the community college or wherever you decide to take it with a certain percentage. I believe at my community college, the percentage was like a 75. After you pass the class with a 75 or higher, by the way, not everyone passes, I know for a fact. In my class, there were a couple of people that had to leave after a couple of exams because their final grade was not going to be a 75. A couple of my other friends have taken it, and then the same situation has occurred in their classes too, so don't take it for granted, definitely study. So once you pass the class with a 75 or higher or whatever your percentage is, then you have to pass the practical exam, which is basically a time when you come in and then there's like simulated emergencies, for example, like cardiac events, respiratory like distress events, medical emergencies, just like scene safety stuff that you just have to know how to do. Once you pass the practical exam and the class with a 75 and higher, then your teacher or your instructor basically puts your name down on the NREMT list, which makes you eligible to take the NREMT exam, which stands for, I gotta read this because I don't actually know what it stands for. The National Registry of Emergency Medical Technicians is a U.S. certification agency covering pre-hospital medical providers. So that's like the actual like definition of what NREMT stands for. And that's the final part of your EMT license requirement. Once you pass this exam, then you get your license and then you can start applying for a job. But let's talk a little bit about this NREMT exam, just because I've gotten some questions on my Instagram and people have just asked me in general. This exam is anywhere from 70 to 120 questions long, and it's, I believe, around 2 hours. So you might be like, what do you mean 70 to 120 questions? So let me explain. So how this exam works is you're supposed to maintain, I forgot the percentage, but I believe it's like 80%, 75, 80, somewhere around that. Don't quote me on that though, I honestly don't remember. But you keep on answering the questions from 1 through 70 minimum. And then if you retain like a certain percentage, like the passing percentage, then your test stops at 70 questions. If you're like a little bit lower, then you keep on answering questions until you can maintain that whatever threshold, whatever the percentage is. I believe again it's 75 or 80. If you get to 120 questions and you're not at that threshold, that's how people fail. For me personally, my test ended at question number, I believe it was anywhere from 75 to 78. I felt really bad going out of the exam because I was like, oh no, it ended super early. So it's either I did really well or I absolutely bombed it. Because if you did really bad for the first 70 questions and they know for a fact that you can't maintain the threshold, then the test ends early again. So you don't really know whether you passed or failed until like a week later once you get your results. I mentioned this, but the exam itself is $70, and the exam will cover the entire spectrum of EMS care, including airway, ventilation, oxygenation, trauma, cardiology, medical, and EMS operation. So again, very, very broad categories. 85% of the questions are focused on adult patients, while 15% is focused on pediatric patients, because as an EMT, you're not just dealing with the elderly or the adult patients, you're also sometimes dealing with kids. Let me talk a little bit more about the exam itself, just because I feel like a bunch of people are gonna have similar questions. So some of my classmates took the NREMT exam right when they passed their practical. They passed the class, they passed the practical, and then they took the NREMT within like a week because all the material was fresh in their head. I personally took a month off, a month and a half off, somewhere around that, just because I wanted to use a prep course and just prepare myself. Because my main goal was to pass this exam on my first attempt. I did not want to do it more than once because number one, that's just a lot of stress, and number two, I just did not want to pay the $70 for no reason. There's different ways of going about it. You can either like purchase prep books or like a prep online course. The one that I use, I liked it, although I'm going to be honest, I didn't use it as much as I should have. I probably went on there maybe like 10 times in total in like a month. So don't be like me. It did help me because I passed on my first attempt. The NREMT is not a joke. It is not an easy exam whatsoever. I did some research, and then statistically speaking, only 64% of the people that take the NREMT pass on their first attempt. This is another reason why I decided to, buy a prep course, because coming out of my EMT course, I felt like I knew a lot, but at the same time, I wanted to make sure I was fully ready and I didn't want to take any chances, which is why I spent that extra month preparing. And if you really think about it, 64% is a pretty low number, which is why you have to study and know what you're doing if you want to pass this exam. It is not an easy gimme, and it would suck if you pass your EMT class, the practical, but then you fail your NREMT exam. I believe you get like 3 attempts, and if you fail after your 3rd attempt, then you have to take like a refresher course. No one really wants to do that because you're already spending so much time with the class itself, with homework, with assignments, and then having to take a refresher course. I mean, no one wants to do that, right? A week later, I got an email from NREMT, and it said your test score has been published, and then I was just like, oh no, it's time to check. So I went on my email, clicked on the link, and then it just said, congratulations, you passed. But once I found out that I passed my exam, I applied to a private company from my area. And the funny thing is, I applied, I believe in the morning of the day I found out I passed, or a couple of days afterwards, I don't really remember when. And then on the same day, like 5 p.m., 6 p.m., I got a call from their HR department, and they basically were like, let's schedule an interview. So I scheduled an interview, and then it was really simple questions. It's like, why do you want to work for us? Why EMS? Like, what's your future goals? Blah, 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 blah. And then, yeah, I got the job. But yeah, so that's just my journey. And then again, everyone's journey is a little bit different, just because you might decide to take the class right after you finish your EMT course, someone might decide to take a month off, someone might decide to take 2 months off, someone might decide to take like a week off. It all depends. So there was a question that I got in the last video. Someone asked me whether the EMT class itself is difficult. I'm not here to lie to you guys. For me, it was definitely not easy, but at the same time, I don't know if it was like extremely difficult. I would say it was definitely hard. If this is easy and if this is hard, I would put it like right here, like closer to hard. And the reason behind that is because, again, there's so much content in this one semester, right? You're not just talking about cardiology, you're talking about neurology, you're talking about literally all these different systems in your body. People that are taking these EMT courses are not just taking these EMT courses and nothing else. Most of the people that are taking these courses are either taking other classes at their college because they're like pre-med students or like pre-health students, or they're people that are, have a family. And the class itself is very diverse. For example, in my class, I was the youngest and I believe I was 18 years old. And the oldest was like 50 or 48, so 48, 50, somewhere around that, which is, again, the age gap is very different. It's all rewarding at the end because, again, you get to help these patients out and you're not just getting clinical hours, but you're doing something that you genuinely enjoy. I also looked at the salary. I believe it's $18 per hour on average, which, again, isn't bad at all. And this is another question that I got on my Insta DMs. So someone asked me, like, why EMT? Why not CNA? Why not a phlebotomist? Why not like a scribing? Because, again, all of those get you clinical hours. The reason why I decided to go with the EMT option is because I believe, for me, it's the most rewarding experience with direct patient contact. Yes, as a CNA, you also have direct patient contact, so you're like, measuring blood glucose levels, you're assisting the patients, like taking them to the bathroom, talking to them, stuff like that. But as an EMT, it's a little bit different because you're going to these patients when they call for help. They're not already in the hospital setting, right? They're in the pre-hospital setting. Why I chose the EMT route is because I feel like as an EMT, when people call you, when they call 911, for example, they need help right away, right? No one calls 911 for fun, at least not most people. And as an EMT, you're there when people are delivering a baby, you're there when people are literally in hospice care, DNR. So you get to see a variety of every single case. You can be there when a new life is introduced into this world. You can also be there when someone, unfortunately, leaves the world. So you get to see a little bit of everything. I also don't like standing in one place. So by being an EMT, we're constantly moving around from one place to another. And that's all I have for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope I answered all of your questions. And again, if you do have any other questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below, or just send me a DM on Insta. Before I close out this video, I just want to thank you guys all for the support. It's honestly really cool seeing all these new people, like, joining our little channel, joining the journey. There will be a video out next week. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like the video, please make sure to smash that like button, click that subscribe button, and comment below. This has been your boy RJ, and I'm out. Peace.